All right, so let's say that we're given this equation right here. We have 3x minus 6y equals 5, and we're asked to find the value of the missing entry. So over here we have a table, got a couple of x values and a couple of blanks. Likewise on the y's, couple of blanks, couple of y values. So if you notice in my equation, there's an x and there's a y. So in the table, in the first row here, I see x being 0 and a blank for y. So this is telling me they're giving me an x value. X is 0, and they're asking me what is the y value. So to find that missing entry, I'm going to do exactly what they tell me. Substitute 0 in for x. They're giving me the x value. So for this first row, I have, instead of 3 times 0, we have instead of 3 times x, we have 3 times 0 minus 6y equals 5. And now I'll solve for the missing y value. So 3 times 0 is 0. So I have 0 minus 6y equals 5. 0 minus 6y is negative 6y. Equals 5, and to get y all by itself, I'll divide by negative 6 on both sides. So I get y equals 5 over negative 6, which is negative 5 over 6. So I know that first missing value that I have is negative 5 over 6. And now go on to the next row. And again, we have pretty much the same exact situation, except they're telling me this time the x value is 4. So I'm going to put 4 in x's spot because this is what x is actually equal to. And I'll solve for the missing y value. So this time again, x is 4. So I'm going to go back to the original given equation and do 3 times 4 minus 6y equals 5. And now this is a linear equation. I'm going to try to solve for y. So I get 3 times 4 is 12, minus 6y equals 5. To get y all by itself, I'll subtract 12 from both sides. 12 minus 12 is 0, so those cancel out. Bring down my negative 6y equals 5 minus 12 is negative 7. And divide by negative 6, so I get y equals positive 7 over 6, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So again, I have that missing value. When x is 4, I know that y is positive 7/6. And so now getting to the third row, this time there's a value in the y column and a missing piece in the x column. So now they're flipping it on me. They're saying that y is 0 and asking me what is the x value in this case. So I'm going to again go to my original equation and plug in 0 for y because this is what they're telling me the situation is. Y is 0, and they're asking me what is the x value then. So we're going to take my original equation. So I have 3x minus, it says 6 times y, but we know that y is 0, so I'll plug in 0 for y. Scoot that up so you can see it, and that is equal to 5. So you can see I just made the replacement. Instead of a y, I put a 0 because that's what the row tells me. And now we'll solve for x. So negative 6 times 0 is 0. So I technically have 3x minus 0 equals 5. 3x minus 0 is just 3x. And now to get x all by itself, I divide both sides by 3. And I get x is equal to 5/3. So now again, we have that missing value for the row. We know that when y is 0, my x value is 5/3. So 5/3, that missing value. And we have 2 more in the second row. What are they telling me? What situation do I have? Hopefully you said that the y value now is negative 2, and we're looking for that x value. So again, I'm going to go back to my original equation and substitute in the information they give me. I know y is negative 2, so I'm going to plug that in for y, and then I'll solve for that missing x value. So I have 3x minus 6 times negative 2 is equal to 5. And again, I'll solve for x. So negative 6 times negative 2 gives me a positive 12. So I have 3x plus 12 is equal to 5. Subtract 12 from both sides. And I end up 3x, 12 minus 12 is 0, bring down my equal sign, 5 minus 12 is negative 7, and divide both sides by 3. And I get x is equal to negative 7/3. So again, when y is negative 2, let me scoot that back up so you can see, we found when y was negative 2 that my x value is negative 7/3. So again, I have the missing value when y is negative 2, x is negative 7/3. And now the last one, again, what information are they giving me here? They're telling me that the x value is negative 7, and they're asking me what is the y value. So again, going back to my original equation, and this time plugging negative 7 in for the x value. So I have, scoot this up so you can see, instead of 3 times x, I have 3 times negative 7 minus 6y is equal to 5, just using my original equation. And solving for y. So 3 times negative 7 is negative 21, minus 6y equals 5. I'll add 21 to both sides. Negative 21 plus 21 cancels out, it's 0. Bring down the negative 6y, don't forget your negative. 5 plus 21 is 26. And now I'll divide both sides by negative 6. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is positive 1, so I'm left with 1y equals, a positive divided by negative is a negative, and 26 over 6, both of those are divisible by 2, so I end up with 26 divided by 2 is 13, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we know that when x is negative 7, my y value is negative 13 over 3. So we found the last missing piece, negative 13 over 3. And now we have filled in the entire table and found all of the missing entries. One additional thing that I will say about this, I believe in this section, we're also trying to identify x and y intercepts. If you're given a table, then it's kind of easy to see where your x and y intercepts are. Where the x value is 0, see here my x value is 0, this is the coordinate for your y-intercept. So the y-intercept of this linear function here, if we were looking at the graph, here's the y-intercept. And likewise, where the y value is 0, this gives you the coordinate for the x-intercept. So just being able to read the information they give you. Let me know if you have questions.